Had there ever been a point along the way at which point you had doubted yourself?
Oh, every day. And that's whole notion of imposter syndrome I had all the way through pretty much my professional career. Because I was so late. I was one of 2 players on the tour at one point, not from the California system, right? I went to Florida State. There was a woman named Denny Ganoop. She was the only other person from Florida. So I think that might be part and parcel for most people. I'm not sure. You just learn to have a relationship with it and be like, yeah, but is that helping me? And I have that, listen, in my business. I have that as a parent where I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. And I think that's what the deal is. I don't think it's about knowing. Certain things you learn to know to be true, right? But I think most times especially when we're branching out and trying new things or meeting new people or expressing ourselves in new ways, there's always that feeling of like, I don't really know. And maybe it is that like, I feel like I'm faking it a little.
I can't believe that you felt a sense of imposter syndrome, of all people.
It's interesting. I never felt like I was fooling anybody about who I was as a human being. I don't feel that way. I feel like I'm pretty congruent. Like if you came to my house right now and had dinner, you'd see the same person. If you see me in the gym, I'm just a different version of this same person. So that part was clear. And maybe that's the thing, is all these environments are set up to give us opportunities to really know ourselves and to improve upon, right? Like to go, well, how about this? You have a trait that works really, really well in one area of your life. And then all of a sudden, kind of in this other area that feels important, that same trait only takes you so far. And you have to really take a look at that. But yeah, anyone who says they know about, like they never feel unsure, I don't know that you're conscious then.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's rare. I think if you're doing anything novel, you're bound to have a sense of imposter syndrome. If you're doing anything significant in this world, especially something that hasn't been done before, yeah, you're bound to feel that. And I think you just got to press through it.
Yeah, and we're all learning as we go. So even a scientist or a doctor or anyone. But what's cool is like, let's take an experienced coach, because coaches are interesting, right? When they put in systems in place and they see tons of different personalities and athletes, they'll start to see things that show up to be true. Like this seems really to work depending on even every scenario. And I think that only comes through experience.
You wear so many hats. I mean, professional athlete, model, businesswoman, mother, wife. How do you know when it's time to pivot versus double down?
In which way?
In any endeavor. Like, I'm sure, because the path to success is not linear, right? Any person who's achieved any degree of success in any realm in life, I mean, usually that journey is rife with failures.
Yeah.
I mean, I could share in my own life. I mean, there have been projects that I've tried to get off the ground that have been impossibly difficult, and there have been other projects that never made it off the ground.
Yeah, but those ones that don't make it off the ground weren't supposed to. They gave you the lessons for the ones that did. And one thing I know is I don't typically double down in my personal relationships unless it's the love part. You don't lean in necessarily to your family. I don't, if I have a belief and I have a child that has a different belief, I don't double down. I really share, honestly, my thoughts or, if I'm asked, my feelings about it. But doubling down, unless you're just doubling down and like, hey, I'm here and I love you and I'm here to work it out, it usually seems to be, for me anyway, a better strategy. When it comes to business, the only thing I double down on is if it is, for example, if it's the food business, I always double down on ingredients. But everything else, you go, hey, well, let's take a look at that. If, let's say they want to do something and it doesn't feel like my voice or Laird's voice, I double down. because that's part of our values. And I think that doubling down in your values without being, you don't have to be combative about it, but you're like, hey, this is just a non-negotiable because this is not authentic to me, or this ingredient isn't going to work for this brand. So it takes a lot for me to double down, and it's usually really clear and really, these are on the simple things in place. And the rest is to stay curious and to go, well, let me hear your side.
Yeah. What habits or routines would you say have contributed most to your success?
I learned a long time ago to take my feelings out of whatever needed to get done, because oftentimes when you get up in the morning and you're in bed, it can feel overwhelming. I think for all of us, like, oh, I'm going to get all this done today, especially throwing some children and, dinner's got to somehow get made at the end of the day, all these things, is to go, okay, who am I? What am I trying to do? What are my goals? What are the traits of the person who's going to show up and do that? And I actually lean into that versus I don't feel all these things today. I don't feel like it. I don't feel inspired. I don't really want to train. I don't even want to be nice to my family today.
That's
I have
real.
that feeling a lot.
It's real,
yes. Yeah. I'm an only child, and I joke. I'm like, who are all these people in my house? I'm like, oh my God, it's my family. And then I go, yeah. But that's not going to get me where I know I really want to go. And I've done that formula enough times. Sport really was helpful with that, to trust the formula and to say, okay, that's great. You're allowed, be honest, call your one best girlfriend and go, today I feel like, fire blasting every single person I know. And then you go, haha, back to work, back to whatever principles you're living by. And I try really hard to stay to the loving, to the positive, to the direct. That doesn't mean doormat. That doesn't mean clear communicator. That doesn't mean I can't throw up a boundary, but it's still done tonally in that way.
Yeah, I always say that inspiration and motivation are fair weather friends. You can't rely on them.
No.
Because they're fleeting, and they're not always going to be there for you.
Yeah.
But it's discipline. It's being able to take the reins of your destiny and just show up. Sometimes it's all it takes.
Yeah, and I know can be hard. Like I have friends. I have a friend, Nancy. I'll just say her name because I'm not going to say anything bad about her. She'll say, well, you're really, like, you're not emotionally sort of centered. Like you're not a person who comes from their emotions. And I'm thinking, yes and no. But I think what happens is I try to connect my brain with my heart so I understand what it is my heart really wants. And then sometimes I defer to my brain to go, okay, now we got to put this operating system in place. And what's the strategy? What's your practice for that to happen? And let's get to work. And then at the end of the day, I can check back in with my heart and go, did that go the right way? Should you have said something different here? Does something else? Do you want to adjust and change? And then the next day sort of look at that and say, okay, well, we're going to modify this over here.
Hey, if you liked that video, you need to check out this one here, and I'll see you there.